Hey everybody, welcome back. Assignment number 8 from Brighton Beach Memoirs. We will be reading pages 98 to 108. Now, when we left off at the end of assignment number 7, you'll recall that Kate and her sister Blanche were just starting to have a little bit of a fight, and it was really kind of funny. It's the way fights often seem to happen in families. Kate is not angry at her sister Blanche. She's actually angry at her son, Stanley, and she's taking it out on her sister, Blanche. And Blanche doesn't understand this because she doesn't know what happened with Stanley. If only Kate would just say, I know, I'm sorry. I just got into it with Stanley. In fact, Stanley just lost his salary. And I'm afraid to tell my husband because he had a heart attack and he might die up there if he gets this stressed out. So, I mean, Kate's really going through it right now. But unfortunately, she doesn't tell her sister. She keeps it inside herself. And they're just starting to fight. You're going to notice that it's going to get much worse. Remember, she's not mad at her sister. She's mad at her son. And again, as family, we often take out our anger on our family. And there's a couple of reasons why. One, they're there, so it's easy to take it out on them. But two, it's also because you know that instinctively that you can take it a lot farther with family than you can with anybody else because they're family. It's almost like you can say sorry. They kind of have to accept it. And you do mean it's just interesting with family. You're able to get away with it a little bit more because you love each other and you have to be able to forgive each other when you have these problems. Remember our forgiveness and our revenge from last unit. Anyway, let's continue. Let's start actually. So the top of page 98, Kate, some things you forgive, some things you never forgive. Lori comes back into the house. She has a letter in her hand. Lori, is the ice cream here yet? Blanche, no, darling. Didn't you go with Eugene? Lori, oh, that's right. They sent Eugene and Lori to go get ice cream. The father did to make everybody happy because everybody was fighting in the house because everybody's crazy right now because everybody's got their problems. We know Nora's problem. We know Eugene's problem. We know his problems. We know Stanley's problem, just lost the money. We know the dad's problem. He needs the second job. He's got to get Blanche the heck out of the house. And that's, by the way, when Mom found out that Stanley didn't have the money. So here comes Lori. Now, wait a minute. Why was she in the Murphy house across the street? Interesting. Remember, tonight is supposed to be, in fact, right now is when Mr. Murphy is supposed to be picking up Blanche for their date. Lori, I'm sorry, in Mr. Murphy's house? You were just in there? Why? Lori, she called me from the window. The old lady. I think it's his mother. She told me she had a letter for you. I had to go inside to get it. She hands the letter to Blanche. Kate, what did she say to you? Lori, she offered me a cookie, but it was all green. I said I wasn't hungry. Eugene appears outside the house. He carries a brown paper bag with 4 small cartons of ice cream. Blanche opens the letter. Eugene, to the audience. Dear Mrs. Morton, I sent regrets for my son Frank. I tried to reach you earlier, then realized you had no phone. Frank will be unable to keep his dinner engagement with you this evening. Frank is in hospital as a result of an automobile accident last night, and although his injuries are not serious, the consequences are. As a devoted mother, I would end this letter here and forward my apologies. Despite all my son's faults, honesty and sincerity have never been his failings. He wanted me to tell you the truth, that while driving a friend's motor car, he was intoxicated and was the cause of the aforementioned accident. The truth would come out soon enough, but Frank has too much respect and fondness for you to have you hear it from some other source. I hope you will not think I am just a doting mother when I tell you that my boy has a great many attributes, a great many. As soon as Frank can get out of his difficulties here, we have decided to move to upstate New York, where there is a clinic that can help Frank and where we have relatives with whom we can stay. Frank sends, along with his regrets, his regard for a warm, intelligent, friendly, and most delightful neighbor across the way. Yours most respectfully, Mrs. Matthew Murphy. Kate, what is it? Blanche hands the letter to Kate. Okay, now remember, Kate was, stereotyping Mr. Murphy because he's Irish and saying he's a drunk because he's Irish, right? She believes that all Irish people drink and are drunkards. Remember, Kate is a racist totally against everybody who's not Jewish because she believes that they're all against her and her family. So she's against everybody. Not cool. This is not going to help, of course, now that this happens. Sure, this guy, he just got into a drunk driving accident. That's not going to help with Kate. And now let's just see what happens. Kate, what is it? Blanche hands the letter to Kate. Blanche, he's not coming. He's in the hospital. Kate reads the letter. Eugene to the audience. It was a sad letter, all right, but it sure was well written. Maybe I should have been born in Ireland. He walks into the house. Now, Eugene says that because remember, he wants to be a writer, and this woman is a great writer. Now, does that mean that all Irish people are great writers because she is? That Eugene is guilty of stereotyping too. Not negatively, but still saying so. Or maybe he was just joking. I don't know. He's kind of a jokester. Let's continue. Kate, as she reads, I knew it. I said it all right from the beginning, didn't I? Lori, why is he in the hospital? Wait, he was in a car accident. Oh, God, that poor woman. Lori, does that mean you're not going out to dinner? Kate, nods her head as she finishes. It could have been you in that car with him. I warned you the first day about those people. Blanche, stop calling them those people. They're not those people. She's a mother like you and me. Reminds me, where else did we hear? What other play did we hear somebody say, you people? And he said it several times. Do you remember? I'll give you a second to think about it. Carl Linder from A Raisin in the Sun, when he came to try to buy them out, to keep them out of his neighborhood because he didn't believe they were good enough to be in his neighborhood with his family. Stop calling them those people. They're not those people. She's a mother like you and me, Kate. And what is he? Tell me what he is. He's somebody in trouble. He's somebody that needs help. For God's sake, Kate, you don't even know the man. I know the man. I know what they're all like. Who are you to talk? Are we any better? Are we something so special? I just want to point out that the son, that this woman is sitting there and saying that all Irish people are terrible. She knows them all. They're all bad. Her sons are fixing the lock and looking at their cousin naked, which, by the way, isn't just wrong. It's illegal. That's how wrong they are. She doesn't even know it. And she, again, pretends that she is and they are and everybody is fantastic in her family. It's everybody else who's wrong. Also, not a cool, I mean, it's totally wrong. Everybody, that's an interesting thing about families too. Everybody's family has problems. It looks like everybody else's family doesn't sometimes, but they all do. I mean, come on. Let's continue. Who are you to talk? Blanche says. Are we any better? Are we something so special? We're all poor around here. The least we can be is charitable. Kate, why? What have I got I can afford to give away? Am I the one who got you all dressed up for nothing? Am I actually, you know what she can give away, which is free, by the way? Kindness, decency, love, respect. You don't have to love, but how about just respect, decency, being nice to people, kindness? I'll continue. I'm sorry. Am I the one who got your hopes up? Am I the one they're going to lock up in a jail somewhere? Lori, they're going to put him in jail? Kate, don't talk to me about charity. Anyone else but not me. Blanche, I never said you weren't charitable. Kate, all I did was try to help you. All I ever did was try to help you. Now, this is interesting. Kate is now spinning the whole argument around and saying that, it's interesting because is she saying that because she puts her up, she puts her up in her house, that now this woman has to do what she says and, believe the way she does, those awful beliefs that she does, the stereotypical beliefs that she has? Oh, I don't think so. Let's continue. Blanche, I know that. Nobody cares for their family more than you do, but at least you could be sympathetic to somebody else in trouble. Kate, who should I care about? Who's out there watching over me? I did enough in my life for people. You know what I'm talking about. Blanche, no, I don't. Say what's on your mind, Kate. What people? You, Celia, Papa, when he was sick, everybody. Don't you ask me what people. How many beatings from Mama did I get from the things that you did? All right, stop, time out right now. She's yelling at her sister for things that happened like 40 years ago. Apparently, Kate's got a lot built up and she needs to get it out of her, which is actually a good thing. Sometimes you don't want to hold things too long. But I mean, OMG, why are you yelling at her for that now? Listen, how many dresses did I go without you so you could look like someone when you went out? Again, remember, she's going crazy right now. She's saying things she doesn't mean to say. She's saying too much. But again, why? Because she's angry at Stanley for losing the money in the poker game, and she's worried that might kill her husband. It's a lot of words. It's big words. I was the workhorse and you were the pretty one. You have no right to talk to me like that. No right. This is all about Jack, isn't it? You're blaming me for what happened. And now Blanche is saying you're blaming me because your husband got a heart attack. Now, I do want to respond to that. Is Jack overworking because she's in the house? The answer is yes. But is it his fault her fault that he had a heart attack? No, it's because he doesn't have a really great body. His heart isn't very strong. But that's very interesting. Kate, why do you think that man is sick today? Why did a policeman have to carry him home at 2:00 in the morning so your Nora could have dancing lessons? So that Lori could see a doctor every 3 weeks? Go on, worry about your friend across the street, not the ones who have to be dragged home to keep a roof over your head. She turns away. Jack walks in from the kitchen. Jack, what is this? What's going on here? Blanche to Kate. Why didn't you ever tell me you felt that way? Kate turned her back to her. Look at that. That's an interesting thing. Turned her back to her. I never had the time. I was too busy taking care of everyone. Jack, what is it, Blanche? What happened? Remember, Jack was in the other room. He doesn't even know what they're fighting about. And again, they're only fighting about the fact that Stanley lost the money, and nobody knows that except Kate. She hands Jack the letter. He starts to read it. Blanche, it took all these years? It took something like that letter for you to finally get your feelings out? Kate, I didn't need a letter. I just needed you to ask me. Blanche is terribly hurt and extremely vulnerable standing there. Blanche, Lori, please go upstairs. This conversation isn't for you. Eugene, the ice cream's ready. Blanche, Eugene, put the ice cream in the icebox. I have to talk to your mother. Eugene goes into the kitchen. Jack finishes the letter. I never spoke to the woman. They had lived in that house for 3 years, and I never exchanged a word with her. Kate to Jack, what are you walking around for? If you're out of bed, at least sit in a chair. Blanche, if I could take Nora and Lori and pack them out of this house tonight, I would do it, but I can't. I have no place to take them. All right, whoa. Now Blanche is talking about leaving the home. Jack, Blanche, what are you talking about? Don't say such things. Blanche looked straight at Kate. If I can leave the girls with you for another few weeks, I would appreciate it until I can find a place of my own, and then I'll send for them. Jack, you're not sending for anybody, and you're not leaving anywhere. I don't want to hear this kind of talk. Kate, stay out of this, Jack. Let her do what she wants. Blanche, I know a woman in Manhattan Beach. I can stay with her for a few days, and then I'll find a job. I'll do anything anybody asks me, but I will never be a burden to anyone again. All right, so this is interesting. Should she go and find a job and help the family? Look, she's doing it now that she feels like she has to. So I guess the answer is yes, she should have done this a long time ago. Her husband died. Why is she making them pay for her family? Why isn't she getting a job and doing it? Well, remember, she's been mourning for him for 6 years. She's never been able to get past it. It looks like she can now. Now, is this the best way that this could have happened? No. Is this good for her? It's probably going to be in the long run. But now it's as bad because their family is splitting apart. We've talked about this before. They need to be together in order to stay together. She starts for the stairs. Jack, Blanche, stop this. Stop it right now. What the hell is going on here, for God's sakes? Two sisters having a fight they should have had 25 years ago? You want to get it, Blanche? You want to get it out, Blanche? Get it out. Tell her what it's like to live in a house that isn't yours, to have to depend on somebody else to put the food on your plate every night. I know what it's like because I lived that way until I was 21 years old. Tell her, Kate, what it is to be an older sister, to suddenly be the one who has to work and shoulder all the responsibilities and not to be the one who gets the affection and the hugs when you were the only one there. You think I don't see it with Stanley and Eugene, with Nora and Lori? You think I don't hear the fights that go on up in those rooms night after night? Go on, Kate, scream at her, yell at her, call her names, Blanche. Tell her to go to hell for the first time in your life. And when you both got it out of your systems, give each other a hug and go have dinner. My lousy ice cream is melting, for God's sakes. There was a long silence. Blanche, I love you both very much. No matter what Kate says to me, I will never stop loving her. But I have to get out. If I don't do it now, I will lose whatever self-respect I have left. For people like us, sometimes the only thing we really own is our dignity. And when I grow old, I would like to have as much as Mrs. Matthew Murphy across the street. And I love that line, and sure, and I hope she's staring at her sister when she says it. She turns and goes up the stairs, disappearing into her room. Jack, what? See, Jack's a smart dude. He knows that there's no way that they would have had this fight, that Kate would have done this unless something huge happened. Again, remember what huge happened? The boy lost the money. Stanley lost the money. Let's go. What did it, Kate? Something terrible must have happened to you tonight for you to behave like this. It wasn't Blanche. It was something else. What was it, Kate? Kate stares out the window. Tell the kids to come down in 5 minutes. We're eating in the kitchen tonight. She walks into the kitchen. Jack stands there, staring after her. Eugene comes out of the kitchen, passes his father. Jack, get Stanley and Lori. Dinner is in 5 minutes. Jack goes into the kitchen. Eugene walks to the stairs and goes up to the bedroom. Eugene to the audience. It was the first day in my life I didn't get blamed for what just happened. I felt real sorry for everybody. But as long as I wasn't to blame, I didn't feel all that bad about things. That's when I realized I had a selfish streak in me. I sure hope I grow out of it. He enters into his bedroom and says to Stanley, Aunt Blanche is leaving. Stanley sits up. For where? Eugene sits on his own bed. To stay with some woman in Manhattan Beach. She and Mom just had a big fight. She's going to send for Lori and Nora when she gets a job. Stanley, what did they fight about? All right, so check this out. Now, Eugene doesn't know what they fought about. But Stanley realizes it in a second right away. He knows that his mom was really mad at him. I mean, imagine this. If you're Stanley and you just realize your family is breaking up because of what you did, look at what Stanley does. Now is the time, by the way, that Stanley should go and talk to whom? First person, Aunt Blanche. Aunt Blanche, hey, listen, the reason why my mom is so mad is because she's mad at me. This is what happened. That might fix things a little bit. Then he needs to go talk to his father. Let's see what happens. Stanley sits up for where? I'm sorry, Stanley, what did they fight about? Eugene, I couldn't hear it all. I think Mom sort of blames Aunt Blanche for Pop having to work so hard. Stanley hits the pillow with his fist. Oh, God. Did Mom say anything about me? About how I lost my salary? Eugene, you told her? Why did you tell her? I came up with 12 terrific lies for you. Stanley opens his drawer, puts on a sweater. Stanley, how much money do you have? Eugene, me? I don't have any money. Stanley puts down another sweater over the first one. The hell you don't. You got money in your cigar box. How much do you have? Eugene, I got $1.12. It's my life savings. Stanley, let me have it. I'll pay it back. Don't worry. He puts a jacket over the sweaters, then gets a fedora from the closet and puts it on. Eugene takes the cigar box from under the bed and opens it. Eugene, what are you putting on all those things for? Stanley, in case I have to sleep out tonight. I'm leaving, Gene. I don't know where I'm going yet, but I'll write to you when I get there. Eugene, you're leaving home? Stanley, when I'm gone, you tell Aunt Blanche what happened to my salary. See, it's interesting. He knows the right thing to do is to tell Aunt Blanche, but yet he doesn't have the courage to do it himself. It means he's not as mature as he thinks he is, Mr. 18-and-a-half-year-old. He's making his little brother do it. Then she'll know why Mom was so angry. Tell her, please, not to leave, because it was all my fault, not Mom's. Will you do that? He takes the coins out of the cigar box. Eugene, I have 8 cents worth of stamps if you want that too. Stanley, thanks. He picks up a small medal. What's this? Eugene, the medal you won for the 100-yard dash 2 years ago. Stanley, from the Police Athletic League. I didn't know you still had this. Eugene, you gave it to me. You can have it back if you want it. Stanley, it's not worth anything. Eugene, it is to me. Stanley, sure, you can keep it. Eugene, thanks. Where will you go? Stanley, I don't know. I've been thinking about joining the Army. Pop says we'll be at war in a couple of years anyway. I could be a sergeant or something by the time it starts. Eugene, if it lasts long enough, I could join too. Maybe we can get in the same outfit. They're fighting 69th. It's mostly Irish, but they had a few Jewish guys in the movie. Stanley, you don't go in the Army unless they come and get you. You go to college. You hear me? Promise me you'll go to college. Eugene, I'll probably have to stay home and work if you leave. We'll need the money. I'll send my paycheck every month. A sergeant in the Army makes real good dough. Well, excuse me, I better get going. Eugene, on the verge of tears. What do you have to leave for? Stanley, don't start crying. They'll hear you. They'll get over it. They won't stay mad at you forever. I was mad at you and I got over it. Stanley, because of me, this whole family is breaking up. Do you want Nora to end up like one of those cheap boardwalk girls? Eugene, I don't care. I'm not in love with Nora anymore. Stanley, well, you should care. She's your cousin. Don't turn out to be like me. Eugene, I don't see what's so bad about you. Stanley looks at him. Take care of yourself, Euge. They embrace. He opens the door, looks around, then back to Eugene. If you ever read a story about me, call me Hank. I always like the name Hank. He goes, closing the door behind him. Eugene sits there in silence for a while, then turns to the audience. Eugene, I guess there comes a time in everybody's life when you say, this very moment is the end of my childhood. When Stanley closed the door, I knew that moment had come to me. I was scared. I was lonely. And I hated my mother and father for making him so unhappy. Even if they were right, I still hated them. I even hated Stanley a little because he left me there to grow up all by myself. Kate yelling, Eugene, Lori, it's dinner. I'm not waiting all night. Eugene to the audience. And I hated her for leaving Stanley's name out when she called us for dinner. I don't think parents really know how cruel they can be sometimes. At dinner, I tried to tell them about Stanley, but I just couldn't get the words out. I left the table without even having my ice cream. If it was suffering I was after, I was beginning to learn about it. Kate and Jack come out of the kitchen, heading upstairs. Jack, it's 10 o'clock. Where is Stanley so late? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of assignment number 8. We only have 2 assignments left. We have our conflict, right? I mean, this play is full of conflicts and problems. Right now, the major conflict is, where has Stanley gone? Has he really joined the Army? Not a cool time to be joining the Army, probably, especially because they need him at the house right now. With the dad laid up like that, with the family, with all these problems that they're having, he's needed at home right now more than the Army needs him, for sure. That's just my humble opinion, but we will find out what happens at the end of this play. We have 2 assignments left. Everybody have a lovely day. Make sure you have all those questions answered, please. Thanks. Bye.